Hello everyone, so for tonight's video I'm going to take a look at the flights of a pair of Russian Su-25 attack aircraft and track where they launched from and where they carried out operations near the front. This video was shared by Russia, a clear propaganda video showing a Su-25 mission, but unlike Kadyrov's own TikTok propaganda videos, this one actually did take place on the front lines and was an active mission. The geolocation working sources used was Red Intel Panda on Twitter, who does a great job with this sort of stuff. Now, let's get to the video. So note how low the Su-25s flew on the way to the target. These type of aircraft typically operate at low altitude, and this is some very low level flying. This gives the advantage of helping the Su-25s avoid radar and being detected early, or even engaged by Ukraine's longer-range SAM systems, such as the S-300. The Su-25s use rockets here. That is the typical weapon of choice we see the Su-25s deployed in Ukraine use. I don't think we've seen any video at all of them using the nose cannon, and very few of them using unguided bombs. Russia tends to use other aircraft at a higher altitude for bomb launchers, as that allows them to launch these bombs from further out onto the targets. Finally, at the end of the video, we see the Su-25s returning to Millerovo Airbase. They use a parachute when landing to help slow them down. So let's go back to the start of the video. Here we can see the Su-25 being outfitted with a rocket launcher on each wing and an external fuel tank to increase the range. The rocket pods we can see are the B-8M1 rocket pods, which are used to launch the S-8 rocket. These entered service in the 1980s and can be fitted with a variety of warheads, including heat anti-armor, high explosive fragmentation, smoke, incendiary, and S-8BM runway destroying munitions. And apologies if you can hear the sound of rain at the moment, as the typhoon which was scheduled has just started. Now, I expect these will be using high explosive fragmentation here. When we see the launch, you can see the Su-25 lifts up slightly, firing the rockets at an upward angle. This is to increase the range of the rockets and help stop the Su-25 from entering the range of Ukraine's manpads and ground fire. The S-8 rocket has a short range of up to 4 kilometers depending on variant, so firing at an angle like that increases the range slightly, but makes the rockets trickier to aim accurately. I guess the possible lack of accuracy is worth the risk to ensure these aircraft don't get intercepted and shot down. But of course, the Su-25s are still getting hit. We did see a video of one getting hit by a manpad a week or so ago. So while it makes them safer, they're still not invulnerable and can still be shot down. Now, let's get to the geolocation. First of all, the Su-25s were launching from Millerovo Airbase. In the video, we see them going over this very marking here. Here's a zoomed out view of the airbase. Officially, this base is home to the 31st Guards Fighter Aviation Regiment. These are equipped with Su-30s, but for the invasion of Ukraine, the 368th Assault Aviation Regiment have been redeployed here, and it is they who are flying the Su-25 Frogfoots. Here's Millerovo's location overall. It's east of Ukraine. This base, incidentally, was hit by a Tochka-U early on in the war, destroying one Su-30 aircraft. The next video clip we see shows the Su-25s heading west over a town called Rogolik in Russia, the location of which is shown here. And if we zoom out, we can see the Su-25's flight taken so far. Side note, there are 2 Su-25s seen. This is typical for Russia, to launch Su-25s in a pair. The next geolocation is this field here in Luhansk. Interestingly, Red Intel Panda says this field has appeared in videos of Su-25 flights before, so it seems to be a regular route for these aircraft. This is still a long ways over to the front, over 50 kilometers to the front lines. So even if this is a regular route for Su-25 missions, it's out of range of Ukrainian SAM systems which I would expect to see deployed near the front. And remember, these fly low to the ground to avoid the risk of being detected by radar, so I doubt that S-300 and longer range systems like that would be able to hit these anyway. So let's zoom out. The flight so far is like this, roughly. Now, Let's check the interesting point, the firing point. So the one recording this video launched its rockets roughly from here. Its wingman fired the rockets from a little bit further back just before. They were aiming in a slightly southwestern direction. We don't see the impact, so we can't say for sure where these rockets landed. If we zoom out, we can see these are fired pretty much directly south of Kreminna. Now I'm going to turn to deep states. So these rockets were fired roughly 5 kilometers or so from the front lines. There are some manpads which have the range to reach these Su-25s, but many of the versions used by Ukraine are too short range and don't. And this will also put the Su-25s out of range of mobile short-range SAM systems such as the Stormer. Although technically the Stormer can reach here, the Stormers won't be deployed slap bang in the grey zone on the front line, but rather a few kilometres further back to keep them safe. So here is the flight route from liftoff at Millerovo to the launch point near Kreminna. This isn't a long flight, just over 150 kilometres from the airbase to the firing point. And in order to return, that makes it 300 kilometres or so. The Su-25 has a combat radius of 375 kilometres, so not a lot of leeway there, which is why these have been fitted with external fuel tanks just in case of emergencies. For example, if Millerovo Airbase is hit by Ukraine while these Su-25s are on a mission, and they then need to fly to a different airbase to land, these external fuel tanks give the Su-25s the capability to do so. Or, if for whatever reason, the Su-25s are ordered to loiter in a safe area and attack at a different time, these tanks allow them to do that. These external tanks boosting the combat radius of the Su-25 to 750 kilometers. The max speed of the Su-25 is 950 kilometers an hour, and they have a cruise speed of 750 kilometers an hour. So, at the cruise speed, these can get from Millerovo to the firing point near Kreminna pretty quickly. Now, my maths is appalling. I failed maths when I was at school. I got a E, I think, which is pretty bad in my GCSEs. But I use an online calculator tool to get this as roughly 12 minutes of flight time from Millerovo to here. Hopefully, I have that correct so I don't come across as a pillock. Now, interestingly, Red Intel Panda has pointed out this area being used in other videoed flights in the past, with firing points roughly around this area south of Kreminna. So this looks to be the go-to place for Russia to launch rockets on this front and on this axis. So, pretty interesting. Now, before we end this video, as we're getting close to the end here, let's take a quick look at the Su-25 aircraft itself. So the Su-25, called Frogfoot by NATO, is a subsonic, single-seat, twin-engine jet aircraft designed for the close air support role. The Su-25 entered service in the late 1980s, and they're pretty much the Russian equivalent of the A-10 Warthog. They've been widely used in a number of conflicts. I have to admit these are pretty cool aircraft, one of my personal favourites. They just have a very cool and distinctive appearance, and are generally considered to be pretty good and pretty tough. These are operated by a wide variety of countries, including Ukraine, who's used it widely throughout the war against Russia. In 2022, Ukraine had 31 operational, 14 of which were donated from Bulgarian stocks, but 16 are confirmed as destroyed on Oryx. Despite that though, Ukraine is still operating the Su-25. We do often see videos and photos of them on combat operations, so Russia hasn't managed to keep these grounded yet and they are still flying. But the numbers are quite low and may potentially have reached a point where the operations of the Su-25 are getting rather stretched. All the more reason for jets to be sent to Ukraine as quick as possible. Russia has 30 up on Oryx, 28 destroyed, 2 damaged. And it's important to note the Su-25 isn't under production now, so the ones which were destroyed can't be replaced. There have also been a number of reported Su-25 shootdowns and videos claiming to show a Su-25 after being shot down. These couldn't be verified and so haven't ended up on Oryx, so the true number is likely higher. Possibly for both sides, to be honest. Ukraine may have lost more than 16. Russia has likely lost more than the 30 on Oryx. Russia had 192 of these in service last year. So the Su-25 is the most lost fixed-wing aircraft in the war. Both Ukrainian Air Force Ones and Russian Air Force Ones combined, we are at a total number of 46 so far. Now, on paper, this may reflect badly on the Su-25, but remember, these aircraft do operate on the front lines in the most dangerous area, so they are at a much higher risk than other aircraft operated by both sides, which does account for the high losses. It's pretty much the same as what we see with the Kar-52. A high number of losses, which does make the aircraft look bad, but again, they do operate in dangerous areas, which accounts for the higher losses than usual. So that's it for this video. Not too much else to discuss here, but I hope you found this one interesting. I found it interesting to put together. If you found it interesting though, please click like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Thanks very much and take care everybody.